Welcome, everybody, to Doomed to Repeat, a history podcast, the most popular history podcast on the internet, according to nobody. I'm your host, Andrew Arana, and today I'm joined by my co-hosts, Levi Habiger and Matthew Arana. For today's special Halloween episode, we will be talking about Vlad the Impaler, the inspiration for Dracula. Before we get into that, though, we have everyone's favorite segment, History Hypothetical, which I thought up 30 seconds ago. So, boys, would you rather be impaled for being porn stupid, or be an Ottoman soldier invading Wallachia? Is that how you pronounce
it? Yeah, Wallachia.
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 Which would you rather be?
I mean, yeah, because I mean, like,
sounds the same almost.
Because
to
if
me.
you get impaled, that's a terrible death. But also, if you're like an Ottoman soldier, I mean, you run the risk of managing to live through it and escaping. But if you get captured, you're fucked.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess I would take my chances at being an Ottoman soldier and trying to survive it.
Matthew, what about you?
This just seems like a lose-lose situation. What the fuck?
Now, here's the thing. If you would have done your research, you would have heard the story about Vlad when he got into his second reign, I believe. He invited a bunch of peasants, I guess you would call them.
Oh, he invited the poor.
No, not the boyars.
Are you talking about the boyars?
Frowned upon, the dumb, the stupid, the lazy. He invited them
the
to
lame, the poor.
He invited them to this massive feast where they ate great and they got drunk and stuff. And then he barricaded them inside the building and burned them alive. Now, here's the thing. I would pick being poor and stupid because I would get the chance to have that great feast before I die. As an Ottoman soldier, you're walking through this hellish scape, going to invade a land that you don't even know about, all for what? Some religious thing. I don't know. And you're doing that, and you're probably going to get impaled. Granted, I did say you get impaled for being poor and stupid, but you still run the chance of getting that great feast at the end. I don't remember the Ottoman Empire ever talking about great feast. So, checkmate.
Okay. Real quick, I'm gonna go real quick with my explanations on the things, and I'm gonna dissect the time period right now and go from both sides. Okay, so you're an Ottoman soldier. There's a very good chance that you were a Christian that was castrated and pressed into service into the Ottoman army, so you were fighting against your will for the Ottomans at this point in time. So that's really shitty to start with. So if I was in the Ottoman army, being a Christian as I am, I most likely would have been taken from my family. They all killed before my eyes and castrated. So not ideal, just life, like longevity or good things in general from that point of view. If I'm the poor, stupid person in Wallachia, honestly, I'm kind of with you, Andrew. Like, hey, I'm going to have this bomb-ass party, and the way that I party, I'm probably going to be, like, just blacked out. So I'm just probably already going to be dead by the time the fire starts. So, like, I mean, yeah, why not have one great night of partying through your life that was, like, semi-miserable, but you get to keep your genitals, compared to having to be being forced to fight for a religion that you don't want to and being impressed into service without your nonads.
So you're really focused on the balls right now.
Yeah,
honestly,
how would you like to have your nuts fucking cut off?
I wouldn't know. I'm not a fucking dog.
Are you calling them dogs? That is so insensitive. Oh my goodness. I can't. Yo, I was reading about the Ottoman Empire too, which is a little sidebar real quick before we get into Vlad. But the Ottomans, near the end of their, actually the whole time they're just kind of fucked up,
Okay, well, I think before we get into this, we should kind of. Yeah.
No, we're gonna establish what the world is,
we've
right?
established what the hell we're talking about first.
Levi, tell the folks at home what we're talking about. Establish it for us.
Okay, no, we did sorry, yeah, in your intro you did establish. But first off, what we will be discussing mainly tonight is the life. Like this will be like the big part of it. We will be discussing the life of probably one of the most evil men
Hmm.
ever walked this earth.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
Was yes, was
Well.
now hold on a second. I'm not done.
Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Was he a man of his times?
Hmm. Hmm.
Some in Romania claim to say that he is a protector of Christendom.
Hmm.
Others would say that he was nothing more than a savage, ruthless king who had an unsatiable thirst for blood.
Hmm. Vlad's very interesting because when you're reading about him,
And this man
you,
is known as Vlad the Impaler.
Vlad, yes, the Impaler, to have your name after a form of killing, I mean, that alone should kind of set off some alarms. Um, but this man is very interesting because when you first start reading about him, you're like, well, you're like, Jesus Christ, he impaled people. That was like his thing. So already we're like, this
Baller.
guy is kind of, if anything else, he is extremely wild.
Epic.
Like this dude was like, I'm gonna find a sharp
Awesome.
stick and start putting men, women, babies. He doesn't care who you are. He's gonna impale you. And we'll get into that later when the Ottoman Empire invades and they come across the forest of the impaled.
And
But
sometimes the spikes were dull.
so that they wouldn't like they would have to keep shoving them down.
Hey, I'm just gonna say from that last comment you just made, it sounds like he's a very progressive, equal opportunity person. There is no discrimination. It's everybody.
He was a forward thinker. No discrimination, not a racist bone in his body.
You hear that? Nope.
But some people
Indiscriminate murder.
look at him as a savior of his nation and as a just and honest person, a person of honesty and commitment, and someone that cared deeply for his nation. So he is a enigma. He is a riddle. He's interesting, and we're gonna get on to that. My first line I have for my notes is Dracula boo. Just scary a little bit since this is a Halloween special. So boo. There you go. Scary. As we mentioned earlier, what? Tell me one more time how to pronounce the nation's name.
Wallachia.
Wallachia. So Wallachia is over in Eastern Europe. My bad. And it is right below where Transylvania was, and all this area all of it generally takes place in modern day Romania. The Ottoman Empire at this time was massive, but we're really looking at right south of where Romania was. That's where the Ottoman Empire, a lot of this dealings with Vlad happen. He travels back and forth a lot of times between a lot of nations, but for the most part, it stays all in this southeastern section of Europe. You think that's fair to say?
Yes. Ish. Yes.
He was born. We don't have exact documentation. This is still a time where a lot of the things we learn are either from letters or like policy writings and things like that. So we don't know his exact date of birth, but he was born around 1428 to 1431. And we know this because we know when he came of age to be a ruler. So people just kind of did some math of like, well, if he was of age to be a ruler now, and you have to be this many years old, that means he was probably born around this time. And then he died in 15. Nope, that's wrong. 1476. He did not live 150 years. He died between 1476 and 1477. That date, those years, that's either like December 20 something to January like 3rd. So it's within like 2 weeks. They're like, he died somewhere around here. Interesting tidbit though about Vlad. I wanted to bring this up. He is popular because he is the inspiration for Dracula, that which is kind of why we're doing this whole thing. Also, he's just kind of like a very scary man in general. So, we're talking about him, but he's inspiration for Dracula. Bram Stoker, the writer of Dracula, didn't actually know much about Vlad at all. He had read one book about him, but even then, that book was kind of like not the most accurate. And basically, he just borrowed Vlad's name because he's like, that kind of sounds scary. So there's everything you know about Dracula, literally none of it has to do with the actual Dracula, the actual Vlad. Um, also, about
Mm,
well, at least with the original Dracula book, who knows now? But
yeah, I'm just saying,
in
like
modern, it's
in
probably different.
modern
But I'm talking
culture,
about
when it
when
comes to
Bram
like,
Stoker wrote
yeah,
his
like,
book, he didn't know Vlad at
Yeah,
all.
yeah, yeah. See, because like the
yeah,
like I think like the conception people have nowadays, at least back then, about vampires was that they were rich counts that sat in like a sat sorry that lived atop in the hills in their big old mansion or
Mm-hmm.
fortified castle, and they invite
Which Vlad
people.
had.
Yeah, which I had, and yeah, and he would
he had a
and the
couple of those.
vampires will invite the unknowingly in, bite their necks, drink their blood. And so some of these relate, but however, Vlad, although being born into a wealthy and ruling family, especially in the beginning years of his life, went through a lot of kind of hardship as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he definitely did not live the prosperous like royalty life.
Yeah.
That's for sure. A couple more things about Vlad, just like some pop culture stuff. So we know he is kind of the soft inspiration for Dracula, which later he was more inspired by. But also, he has been depicted in some video games. If anyone's familiar with the Assassin's Creed games, in Assassin's Creed Revelations, you actually go to Vlad's tomb to find like the sword or something. So he is sprinkled through media and pop culture. He's not an unknown person, or he's not like only popular with historians. He is popular with other things.
Um, can I that is that the one example you really wanted to use for Dracula and Vlad the Impaler, not maybe the Castlevania games or TV show, which is
Well, I
absolutely
don't know
baller
if
on
those
Netflix?
games are specifically inspirational of Vlad. I think those games are inspired by Dracula, but I'm talking like you literally went to it wasn't Dracula's tomb, you went to Vlad the Third's tomb. You know what I mean? Because Castlevania is more based off the mythology of
Mhm.
vampires and werewolves and things like that, which does have kind of relate to this. But like in Assassin's Creed, when you go to his tomb, it's not like you're going to see the ancient vampire or whatever's tomb or something. So, but
Yeah, but in I think that, okay, I get what you're getting at with the game and how it's more realistic in that way, but I think that the TV show, the show on Netflix that they do with it is way more to like his actual the kind of person he was. And that's what I'm
Oh yeah, it is because there's now way more information that we know now.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, if you want to see like kind of how the guy lived his life and like how he acted towards his enemies, maybe watch like the first episode of that show. Maybe get a little bit of like
Well, we're not here
context
to
of
talk
like
about pop
holy
culture.
fuck.
We're here to talk
But yeah,
about
that's all.
Vladdy Boy.
yeah, I just wanted to bring
Yeah.
those up so like people kind of give an idea, like, oh, this Vlad dude's he's kind of a big deal. He's kind of he's known, he's important. We're not just talking about some random dude that was in history.
This is some random dude from like
Yeah,
the
yeah, the best
15th
century.
century.
Okay, so what I want to start off with
Killed a lot of Ottomans.
is that comment you made a little earlier, Levi, about how Vlad didn't really live a rich
Mhm.
uh, royalty life. And if you want to just jump into telling the audience what happened in Vlad's childhood, why did he not live in the palace?
This is where I screw up again with not having proper notes with me. But at some yeah, I know I never take notes.
Motherfucker.
It's all in the mind, baby. But it's all up here. But
It was in 1442, by the way, if that's what you're looking for.
okay, being like 1442. So around this time, let's discuss. kind of the state of Wallachia. There's like three, I believe there are like three at least kingdoms within Wallachia, kind of all vying for power, each claiming that they come from the original kingdom, from the general bases of around Romania and stuff. And Vlad's father, who received the title of Dracul, and this is where Dracula comes from, because he's little Dracul, and nowadays Dracula means little devil. However, back then Dracula used to mean, I think, some form of dragon or something.
Yeah, like King Dragon or something.
King Dragon, because his father was a member of the Order of the Dragon. Henceforth, while he had the title of Dracul. At some point, the Ottomans come, I believe. Correct me, please.
No, the Ottomans don't go there. They go to the Ottomans.
Okay, they go to the Ottomans.
Yeah, they were. So what was happening was the Vlad's father was paying money to the Ottomans, kind of like being like, "Hey, here you go. Don't mess with us," and stuff like that.
Yeah, tribute.
Yeah, tribute. And his dad went, or Vlad's father went down to the Ottoman Empire. He took some soldiers. He took his two sons. We had Vlad, who was the oldest. Well, he wasn't the oldest son, but the oldest out of the ones that went. And then his younger brother Radu, which is
Radu.
important for later.
Yeah.
So they're going down to the Ottoman Empire, doopy doopy doo, and then I don't know, something happens, and the Ottomans are like, you know what? We're taking your kids. We're holding them because we can't trust you.
Yeah, it was a sign of keeping their father basically kind of in check.
Yeah, like to keep his word.
Yeah, to keep his word, and if you want our help, then you're going to do this.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, what happens during this time is that both Radu and Vlad basically are taught how to get involved into the court system of the Ottoman Empire. I know Radu is actually very how I guess we could, I wouldn't say obedient, but very
I
interested.
would. I would
Obedient.
say obedient. So yeah, between the two boys, Vlad was definitely
Oh, Vlad hated.
unobedient.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Vlad hated being there. By the way, Vlad would be a Roman Orthodox for practically almost all of his life up until when he would convert to Catholicism.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
Rabi, on the other hand, would eventually convert to Islam. But throughout his life within the Ottoman Empire, Vlad hated it, and he made it known. And despite all the, I think, beatings he would get and
You
such,
get whipped, beat,
get
things like
what
that. Mm-hmm.
he remained true to what he believed. Whereas Radu, on the other hand, accepted his situation and rolled with it, and saw all the benefits that could be gained
Bitch
from
boy.
being subservient to the Ottomans.
Yeah, and it's interesting because when the Ottomans took them captured, most people would think, oh, well, they're going to kill them or something, or they're going to throw them in a cage or whatever, or, things like that. But the Ottomans didn't do that. They gave them like a great education. They gave them not a decent life. They were allowed to do things. They weren't like held in this cage and like thrown old chicken bones and stuff like that.
A golden cage is still a cage. So Vlad wants to get the hell out of there as soon as he can, and so that he can go back to Wallachia to claim his right to the throne.
Oh, we should mention also, before we jump up to that, during their imprisonment, Vlad's father did break his like terms and conditions, I guess you would call it. He started inciting war against the Ottomans again, and he even said like, "My sons will die for the greater blah blah blah." And the Ottomans did not kill the boys, even though their father had uh, broken their treaty or whatever it was, which is very interesting. Makes you think that maybe it was because of Radu, maybe because of his connections and stuff that they kept him. Like, oh, we kind of like these people now or something. But
It could also be because it's a very textbook Ottoman thing to do is to take the people that you're fighting against, put them into your cause, and brainwash them into your cause. They do that time and time again, not just now, not just in the past before this time, but until its fall at the end of 1918.
I mean, maybe I don't know anything about the Ottoman Empire, so I'll take your word.
I know a
That's
bit.
probably what it was then. All right, but yeah, I just wanted to mention that, being like, their father did break the treaty because he was still trying to start shit, which is important for the next thing. But go ahead, continue.
I mean, that's really as far as I don't know when he manages to get out. To be honest with you.
Oh, okay. Well, I know in 1447, that's when Vlad's father and his older brother, because Vlad is technically the second son of his father, but Vlad's father and older brother are murdered in the wherever city that they're from. Um, and then Vlad's second cousin is put in charge. And then Vlad joined the Ottomans to take back Wallachia. Did I say it
Wallach-
right?
yeah, Wallachia,
Wallachia, but had to retreat.
Wallachia,
He sought refuge in the Ottoman Empire, then Moldavian,
Moldova.
Moldova, I don't know, and then Hungary. And then in 1456, so 9 years later, Vlad invaded Wallachia with Hungarian support. So that's kind of when he really finally gets back home. He tries to get back home with the Ottoman Empire, it doesn't work. He seeks refuge in other places, kind of bounces around a lot. I know the one nation that he went to at first, I think like his uncle or something was in charge of, but things didn't work out there, and eventually he found home in Hungary where he joined the military and became like a general or something. I don't know. And he helped take Wallachia back. Um, the thing is, when his father and older brother were murdered, it's said that it was because of the Boyards that they were killed. They kind of duped them into being killed, which is important for later because Vlad doesn't take too kindly for that.
Mhm.
Do you guys have anything else about all that? About him like seeking refuge? Because this kind of happens a lot in Vlad's life, where he's not in one place for very long. He's kind of always bouncing around and getting thrown to different places. Even in the Ottoman Empire, he didn't stay in one town. He was moved a lot around.
He is a very ambitious man and aggressive in his pursuits. So him moving around a lot and having to go into exile a lot makes a lot of sense. Um, did we establish the name of the town that he ran away to in Transylvania called Togovista?
No, we did not. But
Togavista.
there
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
go, Toga
it's
Vista.
Togovista, the town
Okay.
that is owned by basically run by the Saxon merchants.
Yeah. So,
Mm.
real quick, Vlad hated Saxons, and he most importantly hated Saxon merchants,
Mm-hmm.
To
mainly
put it
because,
lightly.
to put it lightly, because during the reign of his father, when he was still with his father, um, the Saxons migrated. And these aren't the Anglo Saxons in Britain; these are German Saxons that migrated down from Germany into what is now Romania, and the reason why was because they're very, adept to adapting to their new location, and they had the money to do so. And most importantly, the Saxons supported the Hungarians. Well, why? Well, because all the Saxons were Catholic, and Vlad's father was Roman Orthodox.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I believe that if it wasn't just for like the Ottoman tribute, I believe Vlad's father also had like a lot of those merchants were very well present in his father's court and
Mm-hmm.
making a lot of decisions. Sorry, decisions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Um, about his father and brother, allegedly they were buried alive,
Huh?
which he also found out because when he got back to his hometown city, whatever, they uncovered the bodies and kind of noticed like, oh, look at these bones and stuff, and they're facing upward and something. So yeah, his father and older brother were buried alive, which kind of pissed him off a lot. He was not happy about this.
I mean, I wouldn't
So
be happy.
Vlad did, and this is kind of the start of Vlad the Impaler, even though he doesn't technically impale them. This is a start to his. This guy is like on another fucking level. So what Vlad does is he invites the Boyards to a feast. He's like, "Yo, homies, let's all get together. Let's have a time." And the Boyards, remember, are they're the rich, they're the wealthy, they're the influential, they're powerful.
They're
They
the
have
nobles.
positions, and they're the nobles. Yeah. So he invites them over to a feast, and he gives them wine, and he gives them a bunch of food and stuff. He's like, "Yeah, let's go. Let's have a good time and stuff like that." And then after the feast, Vlad kind of does. I imagine he did the little like clap clap thing, and his soldiers rush in, imprison or take all of them hostage, and then they take the weak and the elderly boyards, and they sharpen their little sticks, and but first impale them through.
Um, yeah, there's just a slight detail that I wanted to add in there. Before his men took them hostage and started doing the whole stick up the bum thing, he asked them first, like, can you name all the kings that we've had in the past 40 years? He asked all the boyars that because he was
Mm,
trying to show that these people were untrustworthy and they couldn't name the kings that they had the leadership. They couldn't name it because they were constantly the ones killing them, assassinating them. And when he came
mm,
to this was in was it in the town of Toga Vista? I can't remember if it was or not. I think it was in Toga Vista where he did this, and he talked to these people and was getting what he needed. He needed a just cause to do this to these people. It's basically
mm-hmm,
what it's what you do. You clean house. If people are
Can I,
just going to keep killing the leader, like when he went there, he knew he was going to try to be assassinated. He had somebody personally drink and taste all of his food. A very trusted servant tasted and drank all of his food before him because he knew that town was the place you go to get assassinated.
Might I also add that during this time, when he was like kind of looking through the boyars, he was also really looking for the ones that had a hand in his father and brother's death as well.
mm-hmm, yep,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Both those facts are true. But yeah, so after he did all that, he because that thank you for mentioning that because we don't want to make Vlad out to be like he just kills to kill. Every time Vlad kills, he has a reason for doing it. He never just started picking random people and be like, "All right, you're getting impaled today." He always had in his own mind a just cause for killing all these people. So thank you for mentioning that. But he takes the weak and the elderly and he's like, "Yeah, impaled." So they go out there and they impale them. Sometimes the sticks or not sticks, whatever you call them, the wooden pikes were a little dull, right, Levi? So they had to
Mistakes.
Stakes,
yeah, stakes. So they
stakes,
had to
pikes.
kind of keep pushing, and you can imagine that wasn't
It's
the
it's
best way to die.
Well,
it's a
that's not a.
terrible it's a
Sorry, Levi. I'll
terrible
let you go.
it's a terrible way to die because you could be on there for days before you die.
Yeah, if it
And the
impales you
process,
right, like yeah, you could just
the
Oh,
process is also worse because
mhm.
not only that, because you also have to factor in your body weight as well as you're on that stake.
yep,
Yeah,
definitely one of the worst ways to go out,
and
most likely.
that was usually reserved for like the people that pissed him off the most. Is it wasn't actually like dull stakes. What they do instead is you'd have the pointy end where they'd stab you through the heart or through the head, through the lungs, something vital, through the chest. But then, if he really hated you, they'd flip the stick over, grease it up, have some people spread your legs apart, and just pop it up there, set you on top there, and just let your weight slowly put it into you. And I'm like,
Mata also mentioned
Mm.
that this completely reorganizes your vital organs and it pushes them up into your upper chest,
Yeah, thanks for
and
that image.
they don't puncture; they stay there.
I like
And
the word
you're lucky
reorganize.
you're lucky if something gets punctured and you have internal bleeding.
Yeah, definitely not a good way to go out. So he does that to the elderly ones, rest in peace, Grandpa, and to the weak ones, rest in peace, nerds. And then he goes ahead and takes the strong and young ones, and he's like, "Oh no, no, no! That's too easy for you guys. Y'all, you got work to do. And he takes these people and he marches them over to the top of this mountain or something. It's like, y'all building me a motherfucking castle. And that's what they did. Now, technically, Vlad wasn't supposed to do this, but he didn't care. He was like, these people are going to do this for me. I'm going to make them do this for me. And that's kind of like where the iconic Dracula castle, if you want to call it, comes from, is Vlad's castle. That was built
Yeah.
by these boyards from the whatever this was. And to replace, so now you have this power vacuum, this void, because he killed and imprisoned everyone. So Vlad went out and he did what he thought was best, and he took common folk, and he's like, "You guys are loyal. You guys know what it's like. I can trust you all. So I'm going to give you these positions of power, and you're going to replace all these traitors." And it's kind of like a sign of, I'm giving this to you. Now give your allegiance to me.
Mm.
So yeah, anything else about that, or?
To also kind of like describe the castle. I know the castle that you're speaking of. One thing that is kind of unique about that castle, if you ever go to Romania and see it, is that you'll notice that the castle is actually two toned in kind of color. So the base of it, or the foundation, is um, made out of river rock, whereas the upper layer and the layers that would precede that to like the top are more made out of brick as well. So it has this kind of this two tone color to it, which is kind of
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Yeah. I did notice that. It's pretty nifty. I'm surprised Matthew didn't have a lot to say about that, Mr. Architecture over there.
Oh, you want me to talk about his beautiful castle that was
I mean,
built
we mentioned it.
built in the Byzantine design to where there was basically they did packing to where you'd have a wall in the hollow space, and you just throw shit in the hollow space. It's basically what the Romans used to do with their houses too. Like that's why they always had facade and nice like marble stuff on the outside, but in the inside, like the actual wall, what we fill with insulation now, they just throw shit in it, like
My
anything.
that's how I also add is that when they were making when I don't I know this probably happened under Vlad, but I think this also happened a lot throughout other castles throughout medieval Europe at the time, or Renaissance Europe. I don't know. We're at the end of the medieval times here at this
Mm-hmm.
time period, but
Yeah. Fall of
um,
Constantinople, 1453, during Vlad's lifetime.
mhm.
So that's right when the Renaissance starts because everybody's fleeing Constantinople because, who wants to be in the Ottoman Empire?
Exactly.
Disgusting.
So one quick funny little thing about when they would build the like the archways and such, uh, they would have the chief designer or
Master
builder,
Mason.
master mason, stand under it. So when they would remove the wood framing, if it was not structurally sound, it would kill him.
That is fucking wild.
Yeah,
Like, talk about making sure someone's doing their job right.
that goes back to Roman times. It's
Sounds like
fantastic.
something the Romans would do. They'd be like,
Well,
"Hey, is this archway good? Stand under it."
Well, I think it probably originated from like one of the bad emperors to where he was like self-conscious about like, oh, what if somebody's trying to sabotage me? You know what? Stand on the arch, and the master mason's like, what? And just like stand on the arch. If it falls and crushes you, then I know that I can't trust you anymore. I'm like, yeah, I'd be dead. What do you mean? So I think that's where that originates from. Is like the Romans and Greeks when they built all their fucking arches.
but
That's crazy.
so um, Vlad kills the boyars and enslaves them,
Mm-hmm.
and he recruits all these people from Wallachia, his nation. And this is his first reign, right? Yes.
I think this is his technically second reign, because
Really?
when he first came back to Wallachia, he was in charge for like 2 months. Like he was like, "Hey, I'm back. What's up?" And then people were like, no, 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 no. He's like, okay, peace. And he ran away and was going around, and he went to his uncle, and then he went to Hungary and stuff. So technically, those 2 months were his first reign. You could argue that this is his real first reign because it lasts more than a day. Uh, but on the technical side, this is his second reign. This is second time he's come into power, but this is
So,
the first time he's actually doing things.
so during his second reign, not only does he take out the boyars, but there's another group of people that he wants to get rid of.
Okay, wait. Before you get into that, actually, you know what? No, get into that right now. No, do that. Yeah, we'll
The,
do
Sa-
that other thing later.
the Saxon merchants.
Yeah.
He wants to be rid of them. He wants their influence out of Wallachia, and he wants, if you do not support Wallachia, you are dead. Who do the Saxons support? Well, they support Hungary because Hungary's Catholic, they're Catholic, they have to support Hungary, and so I can't remember the towns he goes to, but I just think about it like this: like he goes to these towns, and these people have been living there for like kind of years ever since they migrated there,
Mm-hmm.
and just to see. And by the way, Vlad never really had a large military force behind him. I think at most he really only had like 24,000 men with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was not big at all.
it's not big at all. But he compensated for brutality, and he would just have them ravage through these towns, find the Saxon merchants. He wants them dead. I don't want them dead. Excuse me to the viewers. Excuse me to the viewers. um, he wants. By the way, I'm Catholic, so I don't want to see my own people get killed. But anyway, um, he
Yes,
wants them dead.
but these are dirty Saxons.
Yeah,
So
so yeah, yes, yes. but he wants them dead. And at this time, um, Vlad has a very peculiar way of overseeing a lot of the executions that are taking place. He loves he he's infatuated in being involved with them. He just he just loves to be there when they do it. And another thing he loves to do is let his men do a little bit of mutilation themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So,
noise.
so a lot of the soldiers under him also participated a lot in the brutality. Um, I wouldn't say it was necessarily to we could say that it was to impress Vlad, but it was also I think they were just like so they were so they really believed in Vlad's message. If you get what I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they were so they would follow him into the gates of hell themselves, and if that means that Vlad wanted 5,000 people to be decapitated today, or he wanted them on stakes, or he wanted them to be skinned alive, that was the thing that happened. Another thing that he also liked to do to the Saxon merchants was boil them alive.
Oh, really? I didn't read about that. That's fun.
So that happened.
This man making
and
the ancients look like nothing.
I say that a lot. That happened, but I really don't know what else to say other than that. Yeah, that happened.
Yeah,
like,
it's like it's hard to really say because when we talk about gruesome people in history, say like Stalin or Hitler or things like that, there's ramifications for those. When Hitler was doing his murder camps, people at the time, I guess, kind of knew, but when they found out, like shit went down. I mean, they started a war, things like that. With
um,
Vlad, he was. I know. But with Vlad, he was doing all these things, and unlike the Nazis that were charged with war crimes after World War II, Vlad wasn't. Vlad
no,
was never
no.
charged with anything. His followers
In
were
fact,
never arrested or charged. They were just like,
in
you
fact,
know,
He was
in fact,
murdered or killed, so
he was killed in battle.
yeah, that's usually the accepted reason is that Vlad was killed in battle.
well,
Yeah.
I mean, like, what do you want from like history, the conventions of war is a very new like concept.
Well, I'm not talking about.
The shit
Okay,
that Vlad
Yeah,
did
we're
is
talking
like
about blood.
fucking
But listen here.
PG.
Listen. Well, okay, anyway, but listen, real quick. What I want to say here is that what Vlad did worked.
Yeah.
All the rest of Europe could was afraid of this man.
yeah, that's the
His,
crazy thing
his
too.
cruelty reached, and
Yeah,
it was known. Like,
people all across Europe were like, while Vlad was alive, were like, dude, some fucked up shit is happening out here. Don't mess with this guy. Like you were talking about how he didn't have a big army. A lot of it was that like people were just kind of scared of him. They're like, we don't want to fight him. Like, who knows what's going to happen? So yeah, he's going around and killing all these people. I do want to throw in this story right here though, because I found this an interesting one. I don't know if you guys heard about this story, but Vlad's killing all these people, and he's doing it because he believes they aren't good people. He believes that they are there to destroy him or destroy what he believes in, things like that.
yes.
Are you
I
talking
also
about
have
the Saxons?
no,
Everyone,
yeah, everyone,
everyone that he kills, he believes are bad people.
and they are detrimental to Wallachia.
Yeah. So there's this story that is told. If it's true or not, no one really knows. Some people argue it is. Some say it's just a tale about Vlad. But how it goes is there was once a merchant that came into Vlad's town or whatever. And he went up to Vlad and he was like, yo, hey, what up, dude? I'm a merchant. Is it okay if I stay here and sell things? And Vlad was like, go ahead, you can do that. And the merchant spent the night. And when he woke up, he found that there was like 200 gold pieces missing or something. So he went up to Vlad and told him. And Vlad was like, we're going to find this thief. And if we don't, I'm killing everyone in the town because I'm just going to assume you're the thief. And so that kind of got people like a little fired up, like, okay, we're gonna go find this thief. The merchant, and then Vlad went to the merchant and said, or I guess Vlad said to the merchant, he didn't go to the merchant, but he said, here, I will repay you what they stole. I will give you the 200 coins. And the merchant's like, oh, thank you very much. Like, that's so gracious of you and stuff. So the merchant spends one more night there, and then the next morning, the gold has returned, the 200 pieces. And the merchant's like, oh, look at that. And they found the thief, and the thief is brought before Vlad, and Vlad's like, "Yeah, impaled. I'm gonna impale you. You're a thief. You're not good here. You're a bad person. I'm gonna kill you." And the merchant goes up, being like, "Oh, the gold is returned. While I was counting, I realized that you accidentally gave me 201 gold pieces, not 200." And Vlad responded with, I like appreciate your honesty about this. You are a good man. If you had lied to me about the extra gold piece, I would have had you impaled beside the thief. But since you were honest, I will let you keep it and you may be on your way. And I like that story because it kind of tells you who Vlad is as a person. He held honesty and
Integrity.
integrity in high regards. Kind of no matter who you were, unless you were a Saxon.
I
Um,
fucking
Or
love
Ottoman.
this man. This man knows what it's all about.
But also another thing about Vlad was, of course, we've said is that his cruelty knows no bounds, and Vlad is very particular with who he hates and basically who he dislikes,
yeah, yeah,
and one thing he very much hated was premarital sex.
Uh-oh.
really. I
Yes,
didn't know that.
especially towards women.
Oh no.
So if a woman were to have had sex before she was married, I believe she would be impaled, or she would be tortured and then impaled, or however way she would die, and then they would cut her breasts off and would feed it to the man that had bed her.
I like that. You
Oh
punish both of them.
no.
You punish both of them.
I don't think that's an equal punishment though. The guy's still alive.
Yeah, but the guy had to literally eat her breasts.
Doesn't matter. He's still alive. That lady's dead.
I would rather be dead.
I, I,
Imagine you have a girlfriend or a fiance or whatever, and then someone ratted on you like, oh, they had premarital sex, and then they take the woman that you love, they kill her, they chop her breasts off, and like, okay, now eat her breasts. So now you have to live with that you ate part of your girlfriend. You have to live with that your girlfriend's dead out there being displayed for everyone on a spike. Like, I don't know, man. There's an argument to be made that I'd rather be the girl than the guy. Like, I don't know.
Why
It's
wasn't this
terrible.
your
It's terrible.
hypothetical?
It's terrible. You know, it's terrible. It's terrible.
Why wasn't
Um,
this? I didn't know about this.
But you aren't you the one that? Oh wait, this was Levi. Levi brought up this.
Yeah, Levi brought this up.
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, this is terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Yeah, and I
Absolutely.
mean,
Is it like yeah, what I'm trying to say here is like probably the viewers at one point have been saying, well, how does any of this relate to the legend of Dracula? Well, I have a quick thing here is that there is kind of this rumor and has never been confirmed that Vlad drank the blood of his enemies to gain strength. And
mm-hmm,
what does Dracula do? Well, Dracula has to drink blood to not only keep himself alive, but it also to also keep his powers.
mm-hmm.
If Vlad drank blood, it wouldn't be outside his character, right? However,
Well,
however, what I'm just trying to say is, if he were to, it probably wouldn't be outside of his character to do so.
yeah,
But there are worse things that he did than just drinking blood.
yeah. Honestly, if Vlad was just Dracula, that'd probably be better than what he actually did.
I
Um,
mean, but that was all just a bunch of Saxon propaganda, most likely, to make him look fucking bad.
So yeah, that's another thing that we haven't mentioned. Thank you for bringing that up. Is that with all these things that we're saying right now, a lot of them are probably true, but a lot of it was also the Saxons being like, "We hate this fucking dude. We're gonna make him out to be the worst guy ever." And it is proven that there are some things that were written down by them that have been proven false. So you kind of have to take all of this with a grain of salt. We know things like the impaled happened. That definitely happened. He impaled so many fucking people. I mean,
And
there's
he like
evidence of that.
and as a power move, he
Yeah.
would like to go have lunch while in front of all his impelled victims.
Uh-huh. There's that famous I think it's like a painting or something of him at the dining table with the impaled people all around him. Like,
You
yeah.
guys acting like you don't take lunch during your work. You think it's going to be really quick to
I don't know.
impale like 20,000 people?
I don't know. I know what the stench of death smells like. I really don't think I could be eating while so much of that is in the fucking air.
Yo, I mean, you just got a job to do. You got to power through the snow, eat your bread and whatever meat
God.
you're eating, and you just got to go through your day. Like, this is just a normal day of
This
business for this
is
guy.
this is a normal day of business for
This
this
is
guy.
like business as usual, and it's
But back
booming.
to but back to what Andrew's trying to say about the Saxons, real quick. I'm interested. I don't. But
Oh yeah.
I never heard about the propaganda.
Yeah, that was I mean, that's basically it, is that just the Saxons didn't like him. So it's proven that some of the
Wait,
things
did we
I
talk
wonder
about?
why.
Did we talk about how he took that Saxon village in Transylvania that he fled to? Did we talk
no,
about that?
not
Okay.
yet.
This
No.
all well, this relates to this because this is the aftermath of this. This is where all like the real Dracula legends come from. Him drinking blood, that painting with him standing there is he went back to the merchants and instead of attacking them head on because they had these outstanding fortifications, like the city was a stronghold. It was like a dreadnought. There was no way you were going to get in there like through brute force. So he did the sneaky move, came in at night, and he rushed and he just killed everybody he met indiscriminately. He was murdering people, didn't matter who they were. He got all the suburbs before people could get to the citadel. And then he got there too, and he got the merchants, and he just killed them all.
Yeah, and like he when he says killing everyone, he was this is the story where it's like he was killing women, he was impaling babies, like he was killing everyone. No one was surviving this.
Yo, he's got to fill up that forest. Like, come on. everybody has to pitch in.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, um, so we've discussed how he hated Saxons, but have we discussed how he hated Ottomans?
Not yet. Do you want to kind of? Sorry, I was thinking of Vlad paintings. I sent you guys a picture of our good old boy Vlad. Um, we can go into the Ottoman War with Vlad. Because so Vlad's doing this stuff. He's taking control of his country. He's weeding out the bad. And
Real quick, should we mention how he made an alliance with what's his name at real quick? Uh,
This is why you take notes, buddy.
yeah, shut up, shut up.
Not
Uh,
even like detail, just like quick notes. Quick notes. It's
oh,
part
mine
of
aren't detailed at all.
okay, so should we talk about when he made an alliance with Matthias Corvinus?
Sure, if you can tell me who that is,
Yes.
Oh
absolutely.
yeah, so I don't remember.
You motherfucker.
Yo, you guys.
You son of a bitch.
Okay, that's an important part, and that comes back later to fuck with Vlad.
Uh,
Matthias Corvinus, he would Matthias Corvinus, who was he real quick? He would be the king of Bohemia from 1469 to 1490. Um, and he would strike an alliance with Vlad. Like I said, I can't remember when they would strike this alliance, but they at some point this would come back to haunt Vlad because
hmm,
towards the end of Vlad's life, Matthias Corvinus would betray Vlad. Wouldn't kill him,
Nope.
um, but this Matthias Corvinus plays a huge role um, in Vlad's life.
Yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking about now. I just
Okay,
didn't. There's so many names, and none of them are like Adam. They're all some weird names. So I was like, I can't keep track of all this stuff. But yeah. Okay, so let's just go ahead and jump into the Ottoman War because that's where Vlad starts doing some things, and that's when people outside start really seeing like, oh shit, what is going on? We're gonna go get back to his younger brother too because he plays a role in this, Radu.
Radu.
So when Vlad took over his country, he's doing his thing. He's like, I'm making it good. I'm weeding out all the traitors. I'm weeding out the poor and the stupid. Fuck the Saxons. He's doing all this shit, right? And the Ottomans are like, hey, we're still here, buddy, and you're kind of a vassal, so we're gonna have you start paying us, just like we did your father. And Vlad's like, okay, I'll do that. I'll start paying you. And the Ottomans wanted Vlad to personally walk down there and hand them the money. And Vlad was like, no, no, no. I'm not stupid. I remember my childhood. That's how you imprisoned me. And my brother was my father doing that. So I am not going to do that. I am going to send people to pay you. And this happened for a few years. And eventually he stopped and the Ottomans sent who were the messengers or whatever they were to Vlad, being like, "Hey, you got to pay up," and Vlad was like, "Yeah, impaled." And then the Ottomans sent a couple more, and Vlad was like, "Yeah, impaled." And Vlad was basically at this point like, I'm kind of done with these Ottoman guys. I'm sick of them. They imprisoned me when I was a kid. I don't like the way they do things. They're trying to control us. So I'm going to invade your nation. And that's what Vlad did. In 1462, Vlad attacks the Ottoman territory. And when he's doing this, he's not looking to just kill soldiers. He is massacring tens of thousands of Turks and Bulgarians and whoever is in his way as he campaigns through the Ottoman Empire.
We
Um,
like to call this the good old scorched earth or Caesar and Gaul style.
Scorched earth policy. Vlad had a very prolific towards scorched earth policy. He
yeah, and do you
wanted
want
to
to?
kind of the way he fought. Sorry, Vlad fought again. You know, we talked about his cruelty and how he fought with with less men than his enemies ever did. He was kind of a, I would say, a military genius at some points. He's very tactfully minded.
Mm-hmm.
He knew when to strike. He knew when to strike. But
Yeah.
Vlad loved the idea of scorched earth policy. And what is scorched earth policy? You leave nothing for the enemy to come back to if you have to retreat or turn back,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and you leave nothing for your force as well to go back to as well. So nobody gains anything, but it's more detrimental to your enemy. So
Mm-hmm.
in case you lose, they like we said before, they have nothing to come back to.
Yeah, and for Vlad and his smaller army, that is the smarter way to do it. Because if you're outnumbered and stuff, you want to just start destroying everything in your way. That way, you don't have to worry about anything, and it's also demoralizing to the Ottomans. But the Ottomans didn't just give up. They're like, no, 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 we're not doing this. So they fought back and eventually pushed Vlad back into his home country of Wallachia.
Well, there you go.
Uh, and while they were there, actually, Vlad's brother Radu was like a general or whatever you want to call it, a part of this campaign. And Radu and Vlad fought a couple times. Vlad actually beating Radu a few times, but Vlad couldn't outman the Ottoman Empire. And actually, what happened? So you're talking about tactfulness and stuff. Vlad had this plan to kill what was essentially the general, the 5-star general, the leader. I forgot his name of the army that was invading.
Mhm.
And how he was going to do this was he had his men sneak in around the camp at night, and
Oh,
he was going to
can I add something real quick as to
go
how he
ahead.
managed to accomplish this?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I have a quick little story here, and we're going. So what Vlad does is this: just before midnight, he himself rode boldly up to the gate of the Ottoman camp in perfect Turkish, because he knows Turkish because of his time with the Ottomans. He ordered
Mm-hmm.
the guard to open the gate. The order was obeyed, and in the dark, he had picked a body of horsemen. Sorry, he and a picked body of horsemen flowed in. Their secrecy held for long enough that most of Vlad's soldiers were inside before any alarm was raised. Then chaos was loosened, and with flaming torches held high, the Wallachian forces tore through the Ottoman camp. So I believe I don't know if this was the night before as well, but Vlad's good at being sneaky.
Yeah.
I think there's one story of him sneaking into Ottoman camp. I can't remember if this was this instance, but he had just enough time to sneak in, come in and see the Ottoman battle plans.
Mhm, yeah. And
Yeah.
also, just a quick correction. It was called the Sultan. That's who he was trying to
So
kill.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, he was trying to kill my man Mukmed.
Yeah.
Better not be
Uh-huh.
your man. Mehmet was a fucking bitch.
Mehmet.
Anyway,
Fuck Mehmet. The second.
Also, I think that's that. I think it's a night attack at Targofisti, if that's how you pronounce it. Is that what I think that's what you're talking about? There's a famous painting about it and stuff. The Battle of Torches. Yeah. Um, but yeah, so Vlad had this plan to kill the Sultan because he was like, if I kill him, the Ottoman army is going to be in disarray. By the way, the Ottoman army was about 150 to 200,000 men strong, a little bit more than what Vlad had. So he needed some type of tactic to, you know, take them down. He was like, if I kill their leader, they won't have organization. We can do it from here. We have so many pikes. We have so much wood. We got this, guys.
the goal was to find the Sultan's tent and drag him out.
Unfortunately, well, I guess unfortunately for Vlad, they attacked some tents that they thought the Sultan was in, and they attacked the wrong ones. The Sultan found out what they were doing. He was protected. Vlad had to order a retreat, and this is the end of his second reign as our boy Vlad goes back into exile and hiding.
Well, there's a lot that goes on with that too. He doesn't. That's not like the end of it by any means. Before he like actually truly does have to flee, there's
Well,
a
no, but
whole
that
prolonged.
was that was like Vlad's last chance at actually any conceivable thought of winning
Yeah,
was
but
that attack.
yes, but after this, there's a long period of Vlad kind of doing a strategic retreat where he's fighting and taking out as many of them as he can. It's complete
Hmm.
guerrilla warfare, and he's
Yeah.
just going back from stronghold to stronghold that he built. But actually, at the stronghold that he built at Togovista is what breaks the spirit of Levi. What's his name again?
Mehmet, Mehmet,
Mehmet. He
Mehmet.
what he does outside the fortress at Togovista breaks the spirit of Mehmet II. Mehmet II is also a very brutal person, I would like to add. This man is not above torture, mutilation. Basically, he's like
Okay, wait, just 1 second.
almost
Could
an
you
evil.
move? Could you move a little bit back from the mic?
Yeah, sorry, I was moving stuff around.
You're good. You're good. Okay, continue.
So these two are both, in the eyes of Europeans and historians at that time, they are both evil people. They are both vicious. But
Hmm.
what he did outside the fort made made the Sultan lose all stomach for war and just go back home. The man stopped waging war and just left. It I have never in history seen somebody walk to a fortress that is now empty, by the way. He's gone. You know, Vlad, our boy Dracula is
But
gone by now.
he
But
sees the forest.
yeah, there is just
Oh,
a
you're talking about the
sea.
forest.
No, no,
Hmm.
no. Yeah, this is a different one because I
Oh,
think the forest was that town with the Saxons that he killed everybody, and then this one is just surrounding this fortress. The barricades of the fortress is just 20,000 dead Ottoman soldiers with their guts hanging out, their skin flayed, the pikes right through them, and it breaks the spirit of the Sultan, and he returns back home to, I don't know what it'd be, Turkey, I guess. Turkey, yeah. He goes back to Turkey because he it haunts him what he saw there, and I've
Hmm.
never in history seen somebody actually basically win psychological warfare in that manner to where they made the leader just leave.
and,
Yeah.
and also we should also mention that before Mehmet arrived, um, like with lots of guerrilla tactics and raids and such, this didn't slow the Ottomans down. Like, sure, it hurt them, but it wasn't going to slow them down. But like what Matthew's saying here, when Mehmet the Sultan finally laid his eyes upon the cruelty of Vlad, yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it broke his
I mean,
spirit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
But
mean, the only thing in history that I could remotely relate that to would be when people found the concentration camps. Like, you got to imagine that there was a similar feeling of, oh my God, when they found those. And it's just like, it was a little different because those weren't their own people. It wasn't like Americans rolled up and they found Americans in the concentration camp. That definitely would have been a lot different. But you got to imagine that there's that same just gut feeling of what the fuck. Like,
It's hard.
yeah,
It's
this
hard.
is like unbelievable. I can't, because these guys fighting in the Ottoman Empire, this isn't their first rodeo. Like, they've been fighting a lot, probably their whole lives. They've been fighting. This general's been in plenty of battles,
yeah,
but yeah, nothing like this ever. I don't think anything like this actually ever happens again. Like, this
no,
is very unique and very horrid, to say the least.
it's a pretty solid move, honestly. Like he won. He won. He basically it didn't achieve the overall goal that he wanted, but he won in breaking the
Yeah,
spirit of the
he
general.
lost. He lost, but he won at the same
Yeah,
time.
like that's what it comes down to. There's a lot of times through history that I think about when I hear certain things to where I'm like, wow, that's pretty brutal. This is definitely like probably one of the top 5 of things I've heard. The other ones, just real quick, would be when Alexander the Great needed to cross a river and he
And
used a bunch of dead. Yeah,
he built a bridge of the dead body of Persians.
yeah, just used the bodies of the Persians to build a bridge across the river. Fucking absolutely metal. This
Oh my god, I love that.
actually, some pop culture reference here on Game of Thrones when they did the crucifixion of one person every so long. That's what the Romans did when they put down the Spartacus rebellion. They crucified 10,000 people on the road to Rome, each, I think, like 100 meters or so away from one another. And just crucifixion and impaling are both terrible ways to die. One could say one is worse than the other. It's up for debate, but they were both awful ways to die. So that's I'm just gonna leave those two. I'm not gonna keep going into the other ones because there. Andrew, you are very not. I'm not insulting you, but you are very novice in your level of history that you know, especially when it comes to the gruesome dark side of it.
Well, I mean, that should be obvious by this podcast already. We're on episode what, 5, 6 or something? And I mean, most of the time it's pretty much like me asking you guys like, okay, what's going on? I think I said this episode 1. I know modern history up to like the 1700s, and even then that's modern history for Europe, America, and Asia. And I know Japanese history. Everything else, I don't know. I don't know anything else. Vlad the Impaler, I have never heard of this guy until it was mentioned during the I think it was the Japan episode.
No, it was the Mesopotamia episode.
Was it? Oh yeah, I guess it was. It was that long ago. Yeah. So, but I had never heard of him. And like Alexander the Great, I know that name, but I
Oh
don't
my
know
god, I want to
anything
slap you
about that.
so hard for not knowing who Alexander the Great is. He had
But
like
hey, we're back to talking
But
Vlad.
anyways, yeah, but I want to continue with Vlad's retreat because it ends in a folk tale for the local Romanians now, to where Vlad had absconded to his castle that he built using the slave boyars, and he's trapped there by the Ottomans. And it's looking bleak. There's no way out. His wife at the time throws herself from the ramparts, and her body falls all the way down into the river, which now in that area is called the Princess River. So things are looking pretty bleak because everybody's like, if the Ottomans get a hold of us, it is not going to be pretty because of the shit we've done to the
Yeah.
Ottomans. So, in a clever way, they get Vlad, they get our boy Dracula out of there, and they do it by putting the horseshoes on backwards. They like flip them around so that it looks like the horse. Yeah,
Uh
yeah,
huh.
dude.
Uh
Like
huh.
this is some pretty like yo, that might actually have worked kind of shit. Like, not gonna lie. If you hear like Vlad the Impaler's in the castle, you're gonna be watching, but you're also gonna be like probably keeping your distance. Like, I don't want to get too close. Guy might fucking snatch me and impale me. So they made it look like the horse was going towards where he came from, which made it look like he went back into the castle from going to the town. But in reality, he was in the town and he escaped. And that from
Mm,
that point is when he went into exile.
yeah, and this kind of
So
just shows. Yeah, I was just gonna say it kind of shows that he's smart.
okay,
Again,
so
he's a smart leader.
yeah, so what happens at this? Radu will take Vlad's throne. Sorry, will take Vlad's throne.
Hmm.
Where's Vlad in all this? Well, Vlad decides to go to Hungary, of all places.
I mean, it worked
So
out before. That's where he
yeah,
took back Wallachia. So
he goes back to Hungary to find his good old buddy Matthias Corvinus to ask for assistance. Matthias Corvinus doesn't want to help Vlad. In fact, Matthias doesn't want to keep going to war with the Ottomans. Matthias is kind of is trying to think about it logically and trying to think about how he is going to secure his own power. I'm saying here is that Matthias doesn't want to keep going to war with the Ottomans, and he
mhm.
knows that if he helps Vlad, Vlad is going to want to go straight back to wanting to go and fighting the Ottomans. What does Matthias do? Well, he captures Vlad, betrays his trust, and he's Vlad is thrown into prison basically.
Hmm.
During his time in prison, Vlad will convert to Roman Catholicism.
Well, there's some things that happened before that. So yeah, Vlad is thrown into prison in 19 or not 19. Oh my goodness. In 1465, I think. The
Really?
mid Somewhere around there. It was like the mid 60s or early 60s. Because
Mhm.
it was right after the war had started.
Mhm.
Uh but he's thrown into prison, and then there were some things, because this is all related to the church as well and to the Pope.
Okay,
And
yeah, he would be in prison in like 1462. Yeah, 1462.
yeah, so yeah, he went to Transylvania, he went to Hungary in 1462 and got imprisoned. And then the Pope was like, yo, what's going on? Because they're still kind of connected in a way. And what actually happened was the Pope received letters from Vlad, but it's pretty, like, they were forged. Like, there's grammar errors. It's not written the way he wrote. Like, it's
Mhm.
known that someone there forged letters of Vlad saying something like he was exiling himself or something. They lied basically to imprison him. So
Mhm.
Vlad stayed in prison for about 14 years, 13 years, something like that. Um, and he stayed there until, yeah, he converted to Catholicism. And then after he did that, he was basically released on the dime. And of course, our boy Vlad, you can't stop him. He's going to go back to war. So he decides, I'm going to take back my homeland. And he goes out to battle. And then somewhere along the way, he died. He could have been murdered, like Matthew said.
Real quick, so he goes back to Wallachia. By this time, Radu had died.
Yeah, Radu's gone.
Radu's gone at this time. He goes back to take his former castle, which he does, but then he realizes something. Like always, he doesn't have a lot of men, and he knows that this is his third reign, which is really short, and
Hmm.
he doesn't have practically any men. And beginning of the end, basically, he can't fight another war, and no support is going to come for him. And so he goes. Can you guys take it away real quick?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So he goes back. He has no men and stuff, and he knows that he's not going to win in a war. So he kind of does a Braveheart moment and just sends himself, knowing that he's going to die in battle. Uh, yeah.
Uh,
Then
I would have said something since of the position they are, something more of like the 300 style.
okay, the 300 style,
They're
whatever.
like they're like the ancestors of the Spartans of the Thracians. So like
My whole point was just like they all die, but yeah, I guess the 300 style would make more sense.
I
yeah.
mean, when we talk about the 300s, the Spartan 300, we must also consider that a lot of other Greek soldiers stay behind as well.
Well, I mean, they weren't really like given too much of a choice too, because the ones that stayed behind
I'm
were
just
the
saying the Spartans get.
Helios.
I'm just saying that the Spartans get a lot of credit
Well, the Spartans get a lot of credit because they're the
because
ones
they are
that,
deserving of it. I'm
yeah,
not denying that.
they
However,
fought
they
for a
shouldn't
man.
get all the credit. They should not get all the credit.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I just saw the movie, so
But
that's all I know about
I'm just saying. I really do want to do an episode of Xerxes, but like that's completely irrelevant to what we're talking about right now. I'm
it.
just
Yeah.
saying Xerxes is a very interesting
I
ruler.
mean, we're basically, honestly, we're at the end of Vlad. Like, he goes out and he dies in battle. Or, well, I mean, Matthew said that he might have gotten murdered. Like with a lot of things in history, it's kind of hard to tell what really happened unless it's a Caesar moment or like a dying on their bed moment. With these people that, because Vlad was well known
Oh,
and stuff, but
there's
by
a
then,
very big difference between like the Caesar moment and the Vlad the moment. Not to like throw shade at Vlad or anything, but Julius Caesar was the main character of that entire portion of history for like
no, 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 no. That's what I'm saying. No, that's what I'm getting at is that Vlad wasn't. he wasn't hot shit anymore.
Yeah,
Like if this would have happened 20 years prior, I'm sure people would have known the exact spot where he died and like how he died and where he was buried. We don't even know where Vlad is buried. People
yeah.
have a guess, but where his tombstone is, it was dug up and there were a bunch of bones there and horse bones and stuff, but they don't think it was Vlad. Like they don't even know where his body was put. They maybe it's in a church or something, but
My man might actually just be Dracula and out there living somewhere. Like, come
He's
on.
he's waiting for the day when he can finally fight the Ottomans again.
Haven't you seen the Dracula 3000 movie? Come on.
the Dracula 3000 movie.
Yeah,
No.
not the best movie, but it's aight.
Okay, well we haven't heard of it, so it must not be good. But anyway,
Not that good.
God damn it.
Hey,
I'm
all I'm
kidding.
saying is
kidding.
I have heard of the Sonic movie, so I guess Sonic's better than that. So
Shut up! Shut up! Shut
know.
up!
That movie sucks, but all right. So yeah, I mean, do you guys have anything else? Do you want to give some closing comments on Vlad while I do this thing over here real quick?
I want to answer this question. I want to answer this question. Well,
Okay.
we don't have to answer it because we'll probably never get an answer. Depends on who you ask. However, I will still pose the question. Do you guys think Vlad was a nothing more than a bloodthirsty, savage murderer?
Did you read my notes? Because that is the last paragraph I wrote.
That he's a
Or
bloodthirsty savage murderer.
No, but I wrote that. Okay, so I said he was viewed as a hero for many of the people of Wallachia, and he's also known as a national hero in Romania. But also, people view him as a bloodthirst murderer and stuff. So I had this exact same question, Levi. Of what do you guys think about him? Like, do you
do
think
you
he
think
is just a
okay?
crazy psycho, or
Like, do you think like he's a bloodthirsty murderer? Or do you think he was a defender of Christendom? To be honest with you, I don't know what to think.
I
I think
think
I think
Go
both.
first. I understand why a Romanian in Romania would feel that way because it wasn't for Vlad, I guess things would be bad. I don't know.
if it wasn't for Vlad, then the Ottoman Empire probably would have continued its expansion into Europe.
Exactly, that's what I was looking for. Exactly, because that's when it kind of gets mixed with like the winged hussars and whatnot. But
Yeah, but the winged hussars were a little bit later, I think.
I think so too.
I
I wouldn't know. I don't know a whole lot about winged
You
hussars.
don't know a lot about the winged hussar. Ooh, that's going to be a very very good. But anyways, to answer the question,
I know
was
that they,
he a hero? Was he a bloodthirsty murderer?
I think it was both because he openly participated in it.
Yeah, but he was also, we established that he wasn't just like, most of the time he wasn't just killing willy-nilly. He was killing people for a reason. And his reason was he believed that they were bad people,
Still,
that they were there
his
to hinder him.
savagery in the way he did it, though.
I mean, that's what you have to do in war, though. And
Ah,
like,
Is it?
I mean,
Is
not like
it?
that.
Is it?
I don't remember people boiling them alive.
do him dirty in front of the squad.
I mean, but is it?
do him dirty in front of the squad.
Do you have to do that? Hell, we could just fucking chop their heads off, throw them in a ditch.
But I want to send a message. That's
No.
what
So
that's
I
what
think,
it's
Right,
about.
so killing them isn't enough of a message?
No, it is not.
well,
You
I
need
mean, okay. So to
strike
answer your question,
fear.
Levi, which I've already said, I think it's both. I think that he did it for whatever cause that he did, but I also think that he was psychotic in nature and a bloodthirsty man at the same time. He found ways to justify his need to kill. It kind of reminds me of a lot of serial killers do that. They find or think of Dexter if you've ever seen that. Kind of related to people. Dexter justifies himself by killing killers. Well, he's still a killer in the end. Like he's not a good guy at the end.
I
Um,
mean, he's
Way to
kind of
do
a
it!
good guy.
Dexter in a history podcast.
Yeah,
Hey, I'm not, but yeah, no, I see what you're saying. But I mean, I'm just saying though, like, what he did was bad. But you know what he also did was good.
I mean, all war is objectively bad. So, like, yeah, what he did was bad. But it's war. You've got to win, or else you die.
Okay, but was really going to the Saxon town and killing them all a part of winning the war?
Yes.
What war was he waging, Matthew?
On the Saxons.
A culture war, I
Yeah.
guess.
Like that's there's
Well,
a there
no
culture
better
war
than when
is a thing, so
better than when Mao went and had all his communists kill
Yeah,
landlords.
there's an. I mean, okay, so I'm glad you bring that up. Who would you say is worst, Mao or Vlad?
I
oh
mean,
boy.
think about
I think we're splitting hairs at this point when it comes to bad people.
it.
Are we? Because I would say,
Because by your logic, Matthew, you probably grouped them both in the same category.
I mean,
They both did things to accomplish and fight a war.
yeah.
yeah, but Mao Zedong can suck Zedong and
Oh
better
my god,
Desert
he just
Red.
wanted to say
So
that stupid joke again.
We will not reach any further progress with him anyway.
Nope, he's a goner.
no,
Um,
but no, let me explain first of all, like why Mao is worse in my opinion than he's worse than Vlad to me because he had so much more information at his disposal. He had so many new ideas, new things that he could have came from, but instead he decided to still be, old school degenerate, we're going to fuck shit up kind of guy. While Vlad was literally a product of his time. Fucking Transylvania, Romania, and like Wallachia. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Even like during the Roman Empire, these places were not very fucking developed. This is like literally of Europe. Not to like
hmm.
offend anybody, but
Yeah,
this is like some.
I would probably blur that out.
Okay,
Well,
wait. We could say is the of Europe back in the 1400s. I think that's okay to say.
yeah, like
Okay, okay.
that's just what it is. It
He's
is
not
what it
saying
is.
now.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
now, no. I'm saying like,
Hey, cut this part out real quick. But anyway, all that will be blurred out, right, Matt? Right, Andrew?
yeah. I'm
Right?
putting the time putting the time marker down right now. 104. It helps.
Okay.
Okay. But anyways, yeah. I see what you're coming from. Um, but it's not like these people aren't uneducated. Vlad was very educated actually in the Ottoman Empire. It's hard to say who's worse because we're looking at two different people from two different times. For Vlad, a part of me wants to be sympathetic to him because he had a shitty childhood. He was imprisoned for most of it. When he got back, he found that his family was murdered by people that he was supposed to trust. So now you have a child that can't trust anyone, that's been ridiculed because the Ottomans liked his little brother more than him. So, and he was beat a lot and he was punished a lot. So now you have resentment towards them. You have resentment towards the people at your own place. The only way you know how to control people is through fear and hate. Just like he was controlled, and how his father controlled, how things were ran down there. So it makes sense because you have this cycle of leaders being killed and murdered and things just not working out. And Vlad's like, I need to do something. And those executions worked. For that second reign, it worked for a period of time until the Ottomans came in and beat him. So it's hard to say that he did the wrong thing, but then when you stop looking at it through the lens of Vlad and you start looking at it through the lens of a human being, it's pretty clear to see that Vlad was not good at all. He was not a good person. Sometimes the ends don't justify the means. We can say this a lot about a lot of things. I know in the future we're definitely going to have heated discussions about that because we've had them before.
yes.
But when we're talking about killing babies and children and impaling females because they had sex before marriage. At some point, it doesn't matter what your beliefs are, you do not have the right to judge others and to execute others based on what you believe. No matter if it's to build a nation, to push a narrative, or whatever it is, he got what he wanted and he did what he believed is right. But I honestly believe that he is psychotic and that he is narcissistic and he is just a bloodthirsty killer. Now, does that mean that he doesn't care about his nation or that he isn't a good leader? He was a good leader to the people that he liked, definitely. And he liked honesty and he liked commitment and things like that. But that's only if he liked you. If he didn't like you, he killed you like he did to tens of thousands of people. So I think it's a mixed bag with him. I don't think he's good at all. It's weird that I read how he is a national hero. I mean, I guess I kind of get it. It's because of him that the Ottoman Empire was stopped. But at the same time, like at one point, like could you imagine, like
Andrew,
just imagine this for a second. In 400 years, could you see someone celebrating the Nazis because they stopped the Red Army? It kind of goes like that, you know? Like, do the ends really justify the means with that?
I think that's a very big reach right there for that. I think you'd want to look something more along the lines of how we celebrate Christopher Columbus when he came over here. But everybody says, "Oh, he committed genocide and that." And I'm like, "He was a conqueror. That's what people do. That's what it boils down to with Vlad as well. He was a conqueror and he was conquering. And when you conquer, you have to kill people, and when you're going up against the Ottoman Empire,
Okay,
which
yeah, but
is not a very well established empire, I may also add, which is also known for its cruelty and how they despise Christians, you are going to be brutal against them, especially someone that held you captive. And a lot of times in war and combat, it is who has the will to basically throw away their humanity and do what needs to be done to win. And that is what Vlad was doing, and that's why he is a hero to them. Christopher Columbus, I'm not going to get too much into him, but like he technically is credited with discovering the
I think you're
New World.
completely wrong about Christopher Columbus being a conqueror. He was an explorer.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
was about to say that. Like, he's not a conqueror. Not at all. I think
I
he
mean,
wanted money.
in a way, you could look at him as a conqueror, yes, but like,
Definitely not the same way as Vlad, though.
why? Okay. 1 minute, real quick. Just let me.
I think we're
Why would
digressing
somebody
very far.
explore? What are you looking for? You're looking for
They're looking
new
for
lands. You're looking
India.
for new trade routes
They're
to
looking for
control
China.
and conquer. You're looking for new
Was
things
that their
to
real
obtain.
goal to conquer? I think their goal was to
I
make
think,
money.
yeah, I thought the whole point was that Christopher was hired to find a trade route to India so that they can make more money.
Money. Money.
Sorry, my inner Trump came out there for a second.
We'll wait. Time out. You're probably gonna have to like
Oh my god, again?
11020.
No, it's still recording for me.
Oh my
Oh fucking! Oh god
god
damn it!
damn it. I'm putting the banjo sound effect on that again. I'm gonna have to edit so much of this one.
Fucking
Thanks.
A, bro.
All right, well, that's going to be so. It's got some good discussion there, but that's going to be the end for our boy Vlad. How you judge him is kind of based on you and the audience. We've all said our piece here, and you kind of get our feelings on how we view him. Definitely in the end, though, I don't think any of us inspire to be like him. I think that's pretty safe to say. So now we're going to go ahead and move into our nation ranking segment. Now, I'm going to keep the name Nation Ranking because I don't feel like changing the name, but we're going to just go ahead and throw. Well, what do you guys think? We really only talked about Vlad, but do you think we should put it as Wallachia?
No, it's just flat.
Do you think Vlad? Okay. So to give you a little refresher, we're actually starting to compile quite a big list here now. At number one, we have the Akkadian and Assyrian Mesopotamia.
Can I bring this up real quick?
Go ahead.
I don't think we should rate specials, to be honest.
You don't. Okay, okay. So this is a Halloween special. So you think we should just kind of leave it for its own thing?
Yeah, I think specials should be left to their own thing.
You know what? I agree with that. I like that because it would have been kind of weird to just have a dude in there, but
Just a dude, which he would have been
like
in
see
number
all these
one.
Because
all these.
I'm not gonna lie with you guys. I'm kind of tired of Mesopotamia being on the number one.
Well, you
Because
know what? I tried with China.
Nope.
I tried with Japan.
Lame.
Y'all the ones making it number one.
I'm sorry that you just we. There needs to be a better topic.
I said that Aztec should be number one.
Nah.
You did, but Matthew was like number 5 or 4 or something. I was like, and I didn't think it was number one, so I thought it was number
See,
2.
Yeah,
Or no,
Matthew really likes people who murder people, but won't take into the consideration of an empire that literally kills people for fun. But anyway,
but you know what? They were in a very long-lasting empire, so suck it.
hey, long enough. All right, well,
yeah,
that's going to be it for our episode of Doomed to Repeat, a history podcast Halloween special. Woo!
Wait, what? Are we,
Boys, before we go, we got to decide what our next topic is. Now, listen, I have ancient India on here still. This is the last week for ancient India if we don't choose it. We're punting it.
I do want to talk about ancient India, but
but
like
just not right now.
I'm too busy to not study. You know, I can't like study.
Ancient India, if we punt it, I will make like a backlog of things, and then maybe one day we'll go back to that backlog and re-rotate them in. But if we don't pick ancient India this week, we're punting it. Here are our here are your 3 options. Now listen closely. We have ancient India, which runs from the beginning of time to 700 AD. We have Egypt, the King Tut era, Old and New Kingdom, whatever that means. That's what you guys said. And for our third topic, personally my favorite, the one I would choose, but I am giving the choice to you guys. I wanted to get a little more modern. We have the now. Let me know if I pronounce this wrong, but the Napoleonic Wars. Napoleonic Wars.
Napoleonic. Napoleonic.
Napoleonic Wars. Yes.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Waterloo. Oh man,
So
damn it.
those are your 3 options. Now remember, Egypt is not getting punted next week. It's still got time on there.
Napoleonic Wars.
Matthew?
Damn, that was quick. I don't know. Napoleonic
your
Wars are so
choice.
good, and now this is
Because
gonna make me go
I
play Total
like
War Napoleon.
I like this I like to keep it fresh with doing something a little more
Yeah.
recent, a little more older, recent, older, and we've talked about I guess China. Oh no, we've talked about 2 kind of older things. So I want to get a little more recent, but it's up to you. Whatever you guys want. So we got 1 for Napoleon, and Matthew, if you choose something else, I'll just flip a coin or something. I don't know.
What? You're not gonna choose which one you want, but
It's for you guys to
can't.
choose. I'm
I
just the
can't
host.
not say Napoleon. Yeah, Napoleon. Yeah, Napoleon.
Napoleon.
We're
All
gonna
right.
do
This
Egypt sometime.
well, yeah, we have to. All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead. Ancient India. It's been real, but you have been punted. Maybe we'll see you again one day. But next episode will be the Napoleonic Wars, which is very fun because I actually know some things about this. Not a lot of things, but I know some things about it. So that'll be fun. For your viewers out there, this episode has been released, and I mean, you're listening to it right now on Saturday, October 31st, Halloween. Ooh, spooky. There will not be an episode tomorrow. This will count as the episode for this week. We will be back next week on Sunday at our normal time. That'd be November 8th, I believe, or 7th. I don't know. Whatever that first Sunday is, that's when we come back. All right. I want to thank my co-hosts, Matthew and Levi. Thank you for having me edit so much. All those beeps and blurps and whatever sound effects I pick. I'm sure the people at home love it. And I want to thank you guys, the viewers, and the listeners for listening and watching this podcast. Remember, you can get this podcast on Google Podcasts, Spotify, iTunes, a lot of other things. Podcaster, we're on there now too. We're growing. And of course, youtube.com/AlanAndrew, always uploaded on there as well. Make sure you check out the other podcasts and things like that. If you want to follow Matthew and Levi, go back to episode 1. I'm not reposting it. I ain't doing that again. You can figure out that heinous username. I ain't doing it. With that being said, though, thank you so much, guys, for joining me. Yeah, and everyone else, have a good week. We will see you next Sunday. Have a
Bye.
good time. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Beautiful time.
Baba Booey.